Good evening, everyone. My name is David Freese. I'm the mayor of Tonganoxie, and I'm going to call to order this January 20th, 2026 meeting of the Tonganoxie City Council. Ms. Huntington, could you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mayor. Mr. Wilkie?
Here.
Ms. McCutcheon's absent. Ms. Stevens?
Here.
Ms. Gruby?
Here.
Mr. Dale?
Here.
Would you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item two on the agenda is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting dated January 5th, 2026. Are there any questions or concerns or comments about the minutes? If not, I would accept a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3 on the agenda is the consent agenda, in which we review bill payments from the previous period. The bill payments were in your packet. Are there any questions, concerns, conversation about what you saw there? If not, I'd accept a motion to approve.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Gruby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Number 4 is old business. Did anyone sign up to speak tonight, Mr. Porter?
No signups, Mayor.
All right, we have nothing listed under old business, so we'll move forward to new business. Item A, Police Department commendations. Chief?
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council. Welcome to our newest council folks, and thank you for letting us come up here and take a little bit of your time tonight. So, first of all, I kind of like to recognize all the staff that are in the room. I just kind of want to bring to the attention of everyone that all the police officers here, none were asked to be here or voluntold to be here. They kind of came up here to see their peers recognized, and like I said, I'm real proud of our agency, and thanks to all the guys for coming up. We're going to draw our attention back to January 25th, or excuse me, December 12th of 2025. So Officer Kevin Jones and Sergeant Bradley Lee responded down here on 3rd Street. And kind of the system that we usually use is dispatch puts out some kind of an emergency with a medical call. And our fire department is second to none in their response time. But we usually go when there's really kind of an exigent emergency, just so we can actually kind of hold things down until fire gets there. And the level of stress for policemen to kind of administer medical aid, it kind of brings up our anxiety a little bit. Our anxiety is not as high as others in certain situations, but it really is when we have to render medical aid. So Officer Jones and Sergeant Lee arrived on the scene, and they noticed someone who was unresponsive, and at that point in time, Sergeant Lee was very decisive in what they needed to do, that they needed to administer Narcan. Officer Jones was immediately up there pulling his out, and we got that from the fire department on the Narcan fentanyl grant, and Chief Zimmelman's great at making sure that we have the adequate supplies we need. But they administered Narcan to this fella, and he immediately came to, and it did end up being a fentanyl overdose. And so without their quick action, fire department was there seconds later, but sometimes seconds, mean a lot in these particular situations. So we're going to recognize Sergeant Bradley Lee and Officer Kevin Jones at this point in time. Major Willie, get the... All right. Good job, fellas. Our second award here kind of came on the boots of, or heels, we introduced Officer Troy Johnson here right before the new council folks got sworn in. And so George and I were having a discussion right after we introduced Troy, and George was commenting how impressed he was with some of the brief comments he made to council. And when he came from Salina Police Department, we really thought, well, this looks like a really good one. And not within a week of us introducing him to you back on December 30th of 2025, Troy works the night shift. And so one thing that the sergeants and the major and I, we really try to encourage the guy to be active at night. And so sitting stationary is not always the thing to do. We want them on patrol, patrolling our neighborhoods, looking after our businesses, and making sure that everything's kind of right during the nighttime hours. And Troy was out on patrol and had just pulled over in the area of Smiley Road, saw a vehicle from Colorado coming through that was going about 50 some odd mile an hour in the 40 mile an hour zone. So a lot of officers, I don't think any of ours, but some officers would just say, oh, heck with it. You know, I mean, it's only 10 mile an hour over. But Troy paid a lot of attention to what was going on as the guy was looking hard over his left shoulder, went up to the car and smelled a very, very strong pungent odor of raw marijuana. And we kind of run into these situations frequently when there's a little bit of marijuana in the car, and it's usually a misdemeanor. But in this case, Troy immediately recognized this car smells like, you know, a marijuana factory. So got the individual out of the car, conducted a little bit more investigation, and ended up recovering 30 pounds of marijuana. And they were in individually, I think if you saw it on Facebook, they were in individually sealed bags. And kind of what was significant about this specific case is they didn't weigh 1 pound. Each bag weighed 1.1 pounds. And so 1.1 and 1.1 is basically a kilogram of cocaine, or excuse me, of marijuana. And that's how drug traffickers sell that, is in 1.1 pounds. And so each one was pretty much weighed to the letter. And so Troy did a fantastic job. So we're going to present him with an award where he is right over here. So. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chief. Thanks, gentlemen. Excellent work. Very proud of our police force here in town, and you came through again. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, as does the rest of the council. We'll move on to item B, Ordinance 1544, Building and Fire Code Updates. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll introduce the item, and also want to introduce a couple other city staff persons who are not normally at our council meetings, so might give everyone just a quick second to
Oh, sure.
wrap up. It's cold outside, so nobody wants to go outside.
Okay.
Mayor, nothing against Sergeant Claire, but I've never felt more safe at a meeting that we had than I did just about 2 minutes ago, so.
All right, thanks, everyone. So the draft, or, still safe. Draft Ordinance 1544 is included in the agenda packet, along with a extensive agenda statement that outlines quite a bit of detail. First, I'd like to, though, introduce our building inspector, Brandon Harder, in case you haven't met him, and our fire deputy chief and code enforcement official, Sean Callahan, who you may know as well. Each of these persons has worked closely with the city attorney to help draft the draft ordinance 1544 with the proposed changes that are outlined in that agenda statement. For those of you who may not be aware, our most current set of codes the city has adopted by reference are the 2012 plumbing, building, and residential codes and the 2011 mechanical and uniform housing codes, as well as the 2012 International Fire Code. We adopted those codes back in 2018 at the suggestion of actually these same two city staff at that time, to bring ourselves more into what the traditional current status of code adoption was at that point in time. Different cities do it differently, but the international codes that are outlined in this list are adopted every year or every other year in some cases. And some cities choose to pursue the most cutting edge code, the most recently prepared and produced code. Others choose to be in that window of 4 to 5 years following that code edition. And the reason for that is there are several reasons for that, one of which is the ease of building. As builders work with these codes and these construction standards for a number of years, they become familiar with it, they're readily, knowledgeable about it, and we run into less issues than if we were to adopt a code brand new that people that in that construction trade may not have awareness with or be familiar with. So that's one reason that in this case we're proposing adopting the 2017 edition of the electric code and 2018 editions of the International Building Code, Plumbing Code, Mechanical Code, Residential Code, Fuel Gas Code, and finally the Fire Code. One other thing as part of this, as you can see in the attachments in the agenda packet, valuation tables for projects help determine building permit fees, and a suggested list of changes in accordance with this newer edition of the building code in particular are included for reference, as well as a helpful guide for sort of one-off projects like decks, fences, other home type repairs that may be completed with corresponding costs for building permit fees are added for reference as well. That's commonly a question we receive at City Hall or our building inspector receives, and this sort of an outline or fee sheet helps people look at one reference and have good context about what their project may cost as they're speccing it out or applying for a permit. Happy to take any questions you may have, and I'm sure our other staff here tonight would as well. One other thing I wanted to highlight though, you do see 7 listed exemptions, and what those are specific instances in that city staff are recommending a caveat or a change in practice and in requirements compared to the standard code language. And each of those has context behind it and reasoning for it as well. So if you have specific questions about any of those, don't hesitate to let us know. We have the option to amend this down the road as well, but this is proposed for action tonight with the draft ordinance. Happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Gentlemen, did you have anything that you wanted to add to what Mr. Porter said?
No, Mayor.
Okay.
And I don't either.
All right, thank you. Council, any discussion? Any questions? All right, if not, I would accept a motion.
Oh, wait, I know what it is. Okay. I make a motion to adopt draft ordinance number 1544, updating the building and fire codes along with setting specialized miscellaneous permit fees.
Well done. Thank you, Ms. Groby. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item D, consider approval, I went too far. Item C, consider approval of 2026 cereal malt beverage CMB license renewal application. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a follow-up back in December of 2025. Our annual renewal of CMB licenses for 3 other facilities in the city limits were adopted and approved by the City Council. In this case, one application was delayed. We've had extensive conversations with that purveyor, and this GMP Country Market located on 2440 Highway. There's a new state process in place this year as well that took effect this year, this cycle. So that was additionally confusing. We don't know why this vendor chose to be late, other than it wasn't the top of their priority list. What we did take in terms of action was ensuring that the vendor understood and the police department was aware that from January 1 of this year until this approval tonight, if so granted, is that they couldn't sell CMB or commercial malt beverages in the gas station facility. They do have a liquor store adjacent and connected, that was recently constructed, so I don't think it really put a dent in their business for this period of time. So staff have received the application, fully reviewed it, advised the police department of the update, and stand ready to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Are there any questions? Conversation? If not,
This will take effect immediately, or what, the state has already done there?
They have, yes, so we'll provide them tomorrow with the completed paperwork.
thank you,
question.
Mr. Dale. Any more questions or conversation? If not, I would accept a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of the CMB license for GMP Country Market to sell retail cereal malt beverages in original unopened containers and not for consumption on the premises.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, item D, consider approval for purchase of 2 dump trucks and attachments for the Public Works Department. Mr. Porter?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a fairly significant purchase, and it has been a few years since the city's last purchased a dump truck. Just for all of your information, the city does maintain 3 dump trucks in the Public Works fleet. They're used for a variety of tasks, but this time of year, primary ones include snow plowing and other salt treatment and sand treatment of our city streets. But they're also used for a variety of utility tasks and some associated with hauling sludge, which if you don't know what that is yet, we'll show you on a tour soon and you'll get a good whiff of it, I'm sure. What we want to convey is that these are very important vehicles for our Public Works Department. So we last purchased one in 2018. These 2 being proposed for replacement are 2007 models. So Kent and his group have made a good use of the current equipment. In most cases, we would order the purchase of the trucks as well as a list of attachments that include the dump body that goes on the rear of the truck with the tarping system, hitches for snow plows, a snow plow, a salt spreader. Kent is still preparing some of that miscellaneous equipment for your consideration for approval of procurement. But at this point in time, based on lead times for ordering, he would like to suggest the approval of the purchase of the 2 trucks as listed in the bids. In terms of why you don't see multiple bids, these trucks were procured with a quote from a state of Kansas and state of Missouri cooperative procurement, so there aren't a need by our policies to select more than one vendor for bids because those have been pre-bid in essence at these quoted prices. The reason the prices are different for the trucks, one is a single axle, one is a tandem axle, and they're used for variously different things as well. Staff don't have any concerns from a budgetary perspective. Obviously, this isn't the whole purchase, but we did budget up to $385,000 for both the trucks and their attachments. So I think we're going to still fall hopefully within that range later this year. Happy to take any questions you might have.
When do you think we'll have delivery?
Do you
Did I
remember
miss
what Kent
that?
said, George? I thought it was likely still 2 to 3 months out at a minimum. So one other thing I should highlight, normally we would at the time we replace a vehicle like this, also ask for your approval to auction off with an online auction site like Purple Wave the old equipment. Because we don't yet know the timeline of the trucks or the salt spreader and the plow delivery dates, we would like to hold off on that approval in case it is a prolonged amount of time. And at this point, we'd add these trucks, and then as soon as everything's fully operational, then ask to dispose of the existing 2007 trucks.
Makes total sense. Are there any questions or conversation for staff?
Since this was approved in the budget for this year, I'll go ahead and make a motion if that's okay.
Sure.
I'll make a motion to authorize staff to purchase the 2027 single axle Freightliner truck from Premier Truck Group for an amount not to exceed $102,985. Do we need to do these separately? Or can we do them as one motion? Also, to authorize staff to purchase a 2027 tandem axle Freightliner truck from Premier Group for an amount not to exceed $114,052.
All right, thank you, Ms. Stevens. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Groby. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That ends new business. We'll move forward to the city manager agenda. Mr. Barkovich.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. We, excuse me, we have two items this evening. The December financial report, and for our newest council members, we will do monthly budget reports or financial reports the second meeting of each month, and so that gives staff enough time to collect all the material. It's a great template that Mr. Porter has developed. He delivers that, and so if it's your first time seeing it, you're lucky because it's a year-end almost type report, and so you'll see revenues addressed as well as expenditures. There's also a great tracking sheet that shows budget initiatives that were developed for the year and where we are in terms of completing those. And so with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Porter to walk through that with you.
Great, thanks, George. So the entire financial report is 15 pages in length. It's included in our online agenda packet and also printed for your convenience at the dais. The executive summary on the first page highlights some general information. I do want to highlight that through our current end of the fiscal year, we still retain about $347,000 in ARPA funds, or American Rescue Plan Act federal aid funding. For those of you new to the city council, the city did approve expenditure of all of those funds, covering the lion's share of the engineering costs associated with our sewer plant expansion project that's just now underway on the construction side. So even though we've encumbered those funds, we still have some left to spend, and we are required to spend all of those by no later than the end of fiscal year 2027. So we're in keeping with those requirements from the federal government, but we stay tuned to that because that's obviously an important deadline that we don't want to miss and violate the provisions of that funding. Just for your information too, that was originally over $765,000. So we're a little more than halfway through that, or close to halfway through that at this point. We also, if you weren't aware, last month missed our November sales tax remittance. It was late. The state of Kansas provides that on a monthly basis to the city, and periodically they've been late and missed the end of the month timeline that they target. We did receive our November and December remittances in December of 2025, so that was wonderful news. We also, as highlighted in the report, had a surprise in that our January 2nd pay date payroll processing debited our accounts in December instead of January because of the holiday on Thursday, January 1st. So in that case, because we're a cash basis entity, we are required to record those obligations on the date they're incurred or the money's expended from our account. So in this case, the 2025 fiscal year is comprised of 27 pay dates worth of payroll costs. That's definitely not a budget anticipation, but we were able to, with the flexibility of the budgets and our funds, accommodate that without issues. So we'll keep the auditors apprised of that and keep you apprised of that as we move ahead through the audit process of last year. I'm glad that we made it through with just that one little surprise at the end of the year. Moving on through the report, pages 2 and 3 include bar charts that highlight for you revenues and expenses compared to the prior year through the same monthly period and through the budget, the annual budget. And you can see that in all cases, our expenditure budget, which is our legal limit for spending, did come in underneath or less than those authorized budgets in terms of actual 2025 expenditures. Revenues also performed well, and I won't call out too many in particular, but I do want to point out on page 4 of the report our sales tax detail. This is an area that we examine closely, as sales tax is a really important revenue source for our general fund and our capital projects fund in particular, as well as the infrastructure sales tax that voters approved back in 2016 for a 20-year special sales tax that helps us fund the library, debt service for 20 years, as well as other initiatives like street maintenance, bridge projects, and a variety of other needs. What I want to highlight, though, in a positive note, are the highlighted figures on page 4. So you can see there that total city sales and use tax collections are 4.5% above last year's progress, which is outstanding. Last year was the first year in at least 7 or 8 years that we'd had a slight decrease compared to the year prior. And we're happy to see that we're now exceeding the pace 2 years ago, as well as obviously last year. Total county collections are up. Our share of the county collections are up 1.7%. Sales as a whole was just slightly less, but compensating use as a whole was almost 13% more than the prior year. And overall, in the most generalized way, we're 3.6% ahead of last year's pace. So really solid ending to the fiscal year. We're curious to see how 2026 will progress, but this puts us on a really strong foundation for our 2026 budget assumptions. Helps our general fund, helps our infrastructure spending flexibility in the future. So we're thrilled to see that outcome. In terms of other activity through the month, property tax came in as expected from the county, came in at normal or expected levels as budgeted. And overall, the budget amendments that were approved mid-year in 2025 seem to give us the flexibility we needed to finish the year in good standing. So happy to report all that. Pages, like George mentioned, page 5 of the report outlines 2025 budget initiatives with check marks to show completed or procured items. And you can see it's a very extensive list. We'll start right away on our list for 2026 in about a month in the next monthly report. And then pages 7 through 15 of the report highlight in order general or fund revenues broken out by subcategory for helpful information, fund expenditures by category for helpful information, and then finally fund balance at the end of the report. We're excited to be at the end of the fiscal year. It's the conclusion of a lot of hard work by staff and the city council to help develop a budget a long time ago now in the summer of 2024 that was approved in the fall of 24, lived or abided by through 2025, and now we're close to starting the audit process. So it's a life cycle type of thing, and a lot of credit to a lot of people for managing the process and getting us to this point. And I'll conclude my remarks with that. If anyone has any questions, please let us know.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. Are there any questions for staff on this?
Thank you, Dan, for always doing such a nice job putting it together. It's very easy to understand the way you summarize it and lay it out.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Is the increase in sales tax from having more businesses or just an uptick? Is it what do you think is maybe the main driver of that?
It's a good question. We are able to analyze remittance information that the state provides. One thing that we're legally bound to by state law and the provisions of that offering of data to us is that we can't advise publicly or really to anyone individualized information about like a business or a small subset of businesses. But I would say a couple things that we noticed, like in the data in this report, is compensating use tax went up by more. In fact, sales tax went slightly down. So compensating use tax is paid like when you order something and it's delivered to our locality, the city or the county, for our share of the county. And so what we see a lot of in that effect is a rise in online shopping and delivery services. So that's been a trend since 2020, really. Also, the number of companies who are comfortable with and actually do remit compensating use tax has risen tremendously. When we analyzed that a few years ago, it had increased over 100%, just the number of different unique vendors that provided us with compensating use tax. And we do get questions when new businesses go in, like at the business park or in other areas of the city. Companies call us that are in charge of that and are verifying, are you in the city limits? Do I pay sales tax or compensating use tax to the city? And so I think that collection effort from the state has really stepped up. and it plays a role. And then finally, I think inflationary cost increases too. We all know the cost of goods and services has risen. So partly, the percentage cost of sales tax as those costs go up as an equation is going to increase our receipts. So there's a variety of factors, but new businesses, new houses, as people move into new homes and order new things, they're all contributing to the collections of the city. So we see that in like Roush Coleman and Stone Creek as those neighborhoods are built out, more economic activities being generated.
Thank you. That
Sorry,
was
there's a
very-
lot
no,
there,
That was
but
exactly what I wanted. That was incredible. Thank you, Dan.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Porter, appreciate it. Mr. Brockovich, you have code enforcement report on here also?
We do, and so that's in your packets tonight, and Chief Callahan is here to give you any additional details you might want. Just kind of as a reminder, back in the fall of 2021, we knew the city was growing, and it used to be kind of the split duties for the building inspector to do building inspections and code enforcement. And we were fortunate enough to have so much growth on the building inspection side, it kind of left a little bit of a void, and we made a presentation to the city council then to shift the codes from more of a part-time position to more of a full-time load. And so then we were very fortunate that the fire department offered to kind of step up, and Chief Callahan volunteered, or voluntold, as I've been told that phrase kind of comes, to do that. And obviously it fit in with the skill set. He was already kind of doing the fire inspection side, and a lot of this does go hand in hand. And so starting in 2022 was when we really saw that more of a full-time effort. The last thing I'll say about our approach to codes is that we've always, at least since I've been here, it's been compliance driven. We want to help people get into compliance more than we're interested in prosecuting them in municipal court. And so what happens, though, is a lot of times the complaining party can get frustrated because they call, or even if staff sees it on a drive, probably one of the questions Chief gets the most is, well, they're not doing anything. It's like, well, right, because the process allows for a notification period, it allows for some compliance period, and since we are compliance driven, that means a lot of times they're doing incremental improvements. It's not just snapping your fingers and every single issue is resolved. That would be great if it could happen, and we're constantly scouring online catalogs to find that magic wand to make that happen. And if we find it, we'll certainly bring it as a budget request. But void of that, I think Chief has done a great job. We've got some habitual problems that we hope that over time get better and better. But I think when you're looking at his report that he submitted, you kind of see the distribution of code issues in the community. And I don't know, maybe some of them will surprise you if you're new and have not had to deal with that in the past. And a lot of them, cross multiple channels. And a lot of times, Chief has we work with the police department, animal control, cat issues in town. I mean, all of those things it would be so easy to throw it all under one umbrella. And ultimately, we do sometimes get there, but it's an effort on multiple fronts. And so I first off want to thank Chief and Mr. Harder. We talked about building inspections. I mean, they carry a pretty big load given the size of the town and the growth that's occurring. And we're fortunate to have staff members with their level of expertise to address those things. So, all right, I said way more than I anticipated. Chief, if you've got anything you really want to highlight in your report that was submitted, please feel free. And, obviously staff would stand for any questions anyone on council might have. Thank you.
George said it far more eloquently than I can. But that is the gist of how we operate, is working with people, prodding them, nudging them a little bit to get into compliance rather than laying a heavy hand on things. one of the proudest things I can say is in the entire time I've been doing this, I've written one citation. And with that one citation, I've been working with the party and working with the municipal court and trying to get that resolved with forgiving the $500 fine she was given. And it's still in process. It's taken over a year to get there. Many of these cases take 2, 3, 4, 6 months to get resolved, but every one of them, I could bring them to court every month. And that would just clog up the system and you'd have even less compliance. But with that, happy to answer any questions, any concerns, if you have any.
You've done an excellent job since you came on full-time. I really appreciate your work. Thank you. I do have one question. That trailer that's on 2440 that has the banner on it that says diesel truck repair or whatever, does that need to be on a improved surface, or is it,
It
or is
violated.
it on one?
Well, the improved surface is more of a residential thing, but it violated the signed ordinances and things such as that. But it's been gone since the 1st of January.
Oh, great. I haven't driven around much since the 1st of
Yeah,
January.
again, slow compliance, gave them a deadline, they just kind of pushed the deadline a little bit, but it went away.
Great, thank you. Anyone else?
I'm just curious about the animal issue. What are what typically
Okay,
are in there?
that is kind of a area I share with the police department. The police department handles most of the barking dogs, dogs at large. I get chickens and dog poop. So those are the things I generally deal with. We do have a cat issue going on in town that I've been working with the police on. The complainant feels comfortable speaking to me, so I kind of act as a go-between and work with the police department and trying to get it resolved. And it's very, very slowly getting resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we have an entire colony downtown of black and white spotted cats. Yeah. I know, I see them all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
They're there.
there are several colonies. There's one large colony by the library.
Yeah, I see those. I think it all started when they tore down the butcher shop, because there was a whole bunch of cats living in there happily, and
That could be. That one was addressed, and most of those were rehomed, I believe.
That's great.
but a few escaped.
Yes.
And multiply.
They hid in a bunker, which was our pub at the time.
The bright white ones all over a map.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you for putting together this report. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yep,
Thanks, Chief.
thank you.
Anything more, Mr. Brockovich?
Those are our 2 items. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, City Attorney agenda, Ms. Kirstelich?
Mayor, no items other than the fact that I have been working with Chief Lawson on the ordinance for e-mobility devices. The chief talked about that at the last meeting, and we are still just trying to tie up some loose ends and make sure everything hangs together. There's a lot of very complicated definitions that don't make a ton of sense, so trying to make it accessible. But we are ironing out those details and see that at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem agenda, Ms. Stevens?
Nothing this evening.
Okay, City Council agenda, council, any members have anything to bring up, discuss? We have 2 executive sessions. Mayor Pro Tem, will you take care of these, please?
I move that the city council recesses into executive session to discuss the city manager's annual review process pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel, exception KSA 75-4319B1. The executive session will include the city attorney and assistant city manager. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 7:49 PM. 10 minutes.
We have a motion, is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Dale. Thank you, Ms. Stevens. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're in executive session.
I would like to report that no binding action was taken in the executive session.
And we have one more executive session, I believe.
I move that the city council recess into executive session to obtain legal advice regarding a potential request for annexation and related matters pursuant to the attorney-client consultation exception KSA 75-4319B2. The executive session will include the city attorney, city manager, assistant city manager, and city clerk. The open meeting will resume in the city council chamber. What does that say?
It's supposed to be 20 minutes.
At 8:10 PM.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We're in executive session.
No binding action was taken in the executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Stevens. I have one more thing to report. I went to the fifth grade class that raised the most cans for the Christmas food drive. They were interested in whether we were going to ban e-bikes or not. That was one of the questions that the kids asked about, so it's on their minds anyway. I have nothing further. Jake,
Motion to adjourn.
do we have a second?
Second.
I heard Mr. Wilkie first. Thank you both. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.